Hello guys, welcome to my channel Miss Recap. Today I am going to explain 2004 animated adventure comedy movie called Shrek 2. Shrek and Fiona travels to the kingdom of Far Away, where Fiona's parents are king and queen to celebrate their marriage. When they arrive, they find they are not as welcome as they thought they would be. It all started with Prince Charming telling the story of his journey to find Princess Fiona. He traveled for several days and nights and finally arrived at the castle. He went to the highest room to kiss Fiona, but instead found the big bad wolf who told him Fiona was on her honeymoon. Charming wondered who she was with and then saw Shrek carrying Fiona into a candy house. The next morning, they went on a picnic and had to fight off townspeople who pursued them. They then returned home, where they found Donkey wailing about Dragon's abnormal behavior. Shrek and Fiona asked for privacy because they just got married. Donkey agreed to leave but interrupted when they were about to kiss. He informed them that a group of men from far away came and invited them to Fiona's parents' castle. Shrek initially refuses the invitation to Fiona's parents' castle, worried it will lead to trouble, but Fiona convinces him to accept and they embark on their journey. During the long journey, Donkey annoys them but eventually informs them that they have arrived in the kingdom. As they enter, townspeople follow them to the castle, where they are met by a surprised King Harold and Queen Lillian, who did not expect Fiona and Shrek to be ogres. Shrek and Harold panic when they meet each other, but Fiona introduces Shrek to her parents and they all sit down to dinner. Lillian asks Shrek about where he lives, and he tries to make his swamp sound more interesting. Donkey tells everyone that Shrek and Fiona live in a swamp. Harold and Shrek gets into an argument about raising children. The chefs present the food, but Shrek and Harold continue to make a mess as they argue. Fiona gets upset and leaves the room, standing on the balcony with tears. Her fairy godmother arrives, shocked by Fiona's appearance, and offers to make things right. She uses her magic to make Fiona fancy, but Fiona says she is not interested. Shrek enters the room and meets the fairy godmother. Fiona introduces Shrek as her husband, and fairy godmother wonders when they got married. Shrek says he wants to leave, and the fairy godmother gives Fiona a card that Shrek collects. After leaving the room, Fiona gets into an argument with Shrek about his behavior. Shrek explains that he is an ogre and deals with problems by roaring, just like a dog. Fiona tells him that she made changes for him and storms out of the room. Shrek hears her crying from outside and feels guilty. Meanwhile, Harold and Lillian discuss Fiona's choice in their room. Lillian expresses her desire to not lose her daughter again, while Harold declares Shrek to be a monster. At this moment, the fairy godmother arrives on Harold's balcony and forces him into her flying carriage. She chastises him for allowing Fiona to marry an ogre, claiming that Prince Charming went on a dangerous journey to save her, only to find out she was already married. To calm herself, she turns to junk food and pressures Harold to ensure their children will marry. They drop Harold off on his balcony and encourage him to use his imagination to solve the problem. Harold goes to a bar called the Poison Apple and encounters various fairy tale villains. He asks Cinderella's stepsister if she knows how to get rid of an ogre, and she leads him to a mysterious man in a room. Harold gives the man a bag of gold and asks him to remove Shrek from the castle. Meanwhile, Shrek can't sleep and walks around the room, discovering Fiona's diary in a music box. Shrek finds out that Fiona had a crush on Prince Charming when he reads her diary. Harold later visits Shrek and apologizes for his behavior at dinner. He wants to make it up to him by going hunting together. Shrek agrees, even though he does not really want to. The next day, Shrek and Donkey go into the forest to find Harold. After walking for a while, they meet a talking cat named Puss in Boots. Shrek underestimates him and they fight, but Donkey accidentally kicks Puss in the groin. Puss struggles to cough up a hairball and reveals that Harold hired him to kill Shrek. Feeling guilty, Shrek expresses concern that Fiona might be happier with a charming prince. He wishes he could make her happy and remembers the fairy godmother's card. Using his tears, he activates the card, which reveals the location of the fairy godmother's office. Puss asks to join them on their journey and Shrek agrees. Meanwhile, Fiona wakes up and can't find Shrek. She asks Lillian, who does not know where he is. When she sees Harold, Fiona approaches him and he hurries away. She follows him and realizes he does not support her marriage to Shrek. At the same time, Shrek and his companions arrive at the fairy godmother's potion factory and enter it. Upon arrival at the factory, Shrek and his companion met the receptionist and Shrek pretended to be a member of the union. The receptionist supported their cause and allowed them to enter the factory. As they walked through the factory, they saw many dwarf workers producing potions. Then they went to the fairy godmother's office and startled her. Shrek told her that Fiona was not happy and the fairy godmother went through several love stories that did not involve ogres. She believed that ogres did not get happy endings, which gave Shrek an idea and he left the room. Shrek and his companions abducted a worker and used his costume as a disguise. They entered a room filled with potions and Shrek believed that one of the potions could help them. He instructed Donkey to watch, while Puss climbed the shelf to search for a useful potion. Puss noticed a potion labeled Happily Ever After and tried to get it from a shelf, but they were caught by workers. In the commotion, Donkey caught the potion in his mouth. The group was chased out of the room by workers and Shrek poured a potion on them that turned them into birds. As they fled the building, the fairy godmother appeared and blamed Shrek for the damage. She realized that Shrek had taken the Happily Ever After potion and saw an opportunity to use it to her advantage. Later, as Shrek, Donkey and Puss walked through the woods, Donkey drank the potion despite their reservations. Shrek followed suit and it started to rain and they sought shelter. They eventually arrive at a shed where Shrek and Donkey become drowsy and pass out. Meanwhile, Fiona finds her parents and tells them she will return to the swamp with Shrek. However, as she opens the door to leave, she also becomes drowsy and faints. Later, a bright light emerges from the shed and Fiona's room. The following morning, Shrek wakes up to find himself transformed into a handsome man, with some woman taking care of him. Donkey also appears as a white stallion. Puss reads the bottle that caused their transformation and discovers that the potion only affects the drinker's true love. He tells Shrek that he must kiss Fiona before midnight to make the effects permanent. They decided to return to the kingdom and stole clothes from a traveler. Shrek rode around the kingdom and several people stared at him. He rushed to the castle and when Fiona woke up, she realized she was human. Shrek heard Fiona scream and ran inside the building, but the fairy godmother trapped him. Fiona saw Donkey and Puss and learned that Shrek was inside. Meanwhile, Prince Charming walked up to Fiona pretending to be Shrek. Shrek watched as Fiona hugged Charming and the fairy godmother told him to stop living in a fairy tale. Upset, he decided to leave the building. They went to the Poison Apple bar and Shrek remained sad. He mentions that Fiona is happy and Harold enters the building, going to the back room. Harold speaks with the fairy godmother and reveals that Fiona is not comfortable with Charming. He suggests calling off their union and the fairy godmother gives him a love potion for Fiona. Shrek, Donkey and Puss eavesdrop through the window. But Donkey accidentally yells when he realizes Charming is the fairy godmother's son. The guards pursue them, but they manage to escape. Later that night, several famous princes and couples arrive for Fiona and Shrek's dinner at the castle, including the fairy godmother, who is cheered by the crowd. During the ball, Gingerbread Man watches as the police chase after Shrek and his friends, eventually apprehending them, and Gingerbread Man realizes that the handsome man is actually Shrek. In the meantime, Harold enters Fiona's room with a cup of tea containing a love potion. However, Fiona refused to believe that Charming was her husband and did not want to go with him. She expressed that she would do anything to get her real husband back to normal. Harold stopped her from drinking the tea with the love potion. Shrek, Donkey and Puss were imprisoned in a dungeon, but were later freed by Gingerbread Man and his crew. They used Pinocchio's nose to reach the chains and eventually escaped. Shrek realized that they had to prevent Fiona from kissing Charming and falling in love with him. He got an idea when he saw Gingerbread Man standing on a window. He took them to the Muffin Man, who helped them create a giant gingerbread man. Shrek and his companions ride the giant gingerbread man through the kingdom to reach the castle. Meanwhile, Fiona meets Prince Charming, but she is disgusted by his behavior. The fairy godmother dedicates a song to Charming and Fiona, but the mood changes when Shrek arrives at the castle gate and faces resistance from the guards. They knock down the gingerbread man, but Shrek manages to open the gate and enter the castle with Donkey. Puss stays behind to fight the guards while Shrek rushes to the ballroom. There, he stops Charming from kissing Fiona, causing the fairy godmother to get angry and try to attack Shrek. The fairy tale characters join forces to take her wand away from her. The fairy godmother then tells Charming that Fiona has taken a love potion and instructs him to kiss her. Charming kisses Fiona, but she does not fall in love with him and knocks him out. Harold confessed to the fairy godmother that he did not give Fiona the love potion. Then Charming retrieved her wand and gave it to her. However, she tried to attack Shrek, but Harold jumped in the way. His armor deflected the attack and sent it back to her, causing the fairy godmother to transform into bubbles and her wand to fall to the ground. When Harold emerged from the armor, he had turned into a frog because the fairy godmother's magic had kept him as a human. He apologized for the trouble he caused, and Lillian declared her love for him just as he was. Puss reminded Shrek that it was almost midnight and asked Fiona if she wanted to remain a human forever. The movie ends here. Thanks for watching. If you like it, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel.